Hi, hello, and welcome back to The Far Side. I am your host. My name is Austin, and we're talking about cults today. Why? Because I spent a bunch of time going through trying to collect all the anomalous, strange evidence and little factoids that do not add up in a cohesive sense regarding the Charlie Kirk situation and the situation involving his wife, TPUSA, the many arms of that Christian Republican octopus, and how a lot of it is related to cults and the way cults act. It's almost like there was one cult that got super popular. They got so popular it escaped containment of its creation, and it permeated both sides of the political spectrum in the United States, and it created many, many, many issues that eventually led to the capital of the United States being stormed by a lot of wannabe super secret agents. The superest and secretest of all the agents, your average voter. That brainlet. That absolute fucking giga-chad of common sense, the average American voter. Now, the thing that we all need to understand about this cult, which is not TPUSA, but TPUSA, whatever it actually is some sort of antidote to... Okay, I got some weird political thing. It's not related to the Amazon gifts I sent to a lady trying to capture a rogue Dogo Argentino that's hanging out around her place. Just quick PSA from a guy in a crazy hat and cloak situation with stupid glasses. The shelter crisis here in Southern California, as well as Georgia, Texas, and Florida, are really bad as everything gets more expensive and people are getting kicked out of their homes and losing their apartments and all this stuff. A lot of dogs that don't deserve to be on the youth line in the shelter are still on the youth line in the shelter. So if you are one of the 5 people that listen this far in, and you have some leftover blankets or towels or, some old leashes or collars that your dogs don't use or you're just feeling generous, consider bringing those items to your local dog shelter, or contacting your local rescues that work with that local shelter and just asking them, hey, would you guys like this stuff? Believe it or not, it'll go a long way for a lot of creatures who are caught up in a pretty bad situation that is being exacerbated heavily by Democratic politicians in Southern California. So when everyone's like, yeah, we need more Democrats in the office, we really need to make this country more blue and they'll save everything. It's like, no. No, even the Israeli shill propaganda magazine, The Free Press, is coming out and saying that California, particularly Los Angeles, has lost the plot when it comes to caring for people. Now, it is very ironic that the Zionist whitewashing schmear campaign journalist, this fucking shill rag that is the Free Press, this absolute bag of bullshit badgers just blowing each other constantly, trying to find some form of self-referential propaganda to put out into this world. The people that actually, quote, air quotes, control the United States. Again, if you think Israel and or the Jews control the United States, you have not been paying attention to the actual news. You've been paying attention to the goy-slop news that the people who want you to think Israel is behind all this shit actually is. Having done many deep dives, and obviously I'm wearing a cloak in a crazy hat situation. Israel is like a child with their little tyke steering setup sitting in the passenger seat of a car, and they have the aux cord. So yeah, they're playing whatever they want to on the phone. They're putting in the music. They're making it seem like they really control things, and they're looking back at us. Hey, sit on your hands. Sit on your hands. Stop doing that to your brother. Just leave him alone. Sit on your hands. Just stop it. I'm trying to drive. Meanwhile, the actual driver of the car is sitting next to them going, oh my God, I could just lean over, open the door, and kick them the fuck out. But I need everyone else in the car to be focusing on them and all the things they think that passenger with the fake steering wheel and the real aux cord is steering the car, is driving. I want everyone else to focus on them because they have told everyone in the car that we're going to Disneyland. And me, the actual driver of the car, we're going to the dentist. So as long as they keep focusing on the passenger who's like, hey, everyone, if you want to go to Disneyland, you got to sit on your hands. You got to stop fighting. And we'll go to Disneyland. The actual driver of the car is taking us all to the fucking dentist to have our teeth pulled and cavities filled. That's Israel in a nutshell. Are they doing stuff? Yes, absolutely. We just tried to have this ceasefire, and then I've seen videos of Israeli people in Israel getting bombed, going, wow, well, look at Iran and what they're doing. How dare they do this? They're violating the ceasefire. Your country bombed Lebanon in what is potentially the deadliest day of the war yet. Oh, it's Lebanon. Oh, look at Iran. Iran's being mean and naughty. You started it. I'm sorry. What? Sympathy? Empathy for getting bombed? No. Go get the children in the Gaza. The peoples in the West Bank. I don't think they appreciated getting bombed, did they? I mean, look at what happened. Pulling dead children out of the rebels. And shockingly, American and European audiences do not find that as tasteful as the Israeli audiences who feel that they are completely and 100% justified in all that is going on right now. So we're talking about cults. We're getting back into it. I got sidetracked. Tangential. It's one of those days, y'all. One of those days. You just gotta soldier on and trooper forward. So the cult that I'm talking about, actually, now that we're past the 8-minute mark, is QAnonymous. Because QAnon was very likely started by either the CIA or some intelligence apparati, or by people that are at the top of the intelligence ladder, people like Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. It's amazing how they were able to wrap up a bunch of actual truth that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, that Steve Bannon was probably intensely aware that he was doing, and he just viewed it as, oh, well, you know, the snake has to get other snakes that are in power to do this thing. So they created QAnon. And it's like in the files that there is some photo of QAnon on a whiteboard, or Q on a whiteboard, with Bannon and, let me see if I can find it. Someone at the door. We're ignoring it. Bannon. This is why I need production help. Epstein Q photo. Blackboard? Q blackboard photo. It was on a blackboard. Because Epstein, with all his money and prestige, liked to remind people that he was a teacher at some point in his past. And so he would always write this shit on the whiteboard. So I do apologize. I can't really find it without doing much more of a big deep dive on all this stuff. But one of the things that you can believe, or that we can all believe, because here's the thing. Any proof that Bannon and Epstein or any of these people are doing any of the things that we would like them to be caught for doing is they will not get in any trouble for doing it. Period. And I have been having an intense itching sensation. Pain? Okay, maybe I do need to check the front door. Fuck. This is why most people recommend that you do not record while you are at work. However, my work, especially recently, has been incredibly boring. And a lot of, hey, shut up and wait. So we have time on our hands, so we're checking out the news. Why? Because I like having zero bitches and zero capacity to speak to the bitches. Why? I don't know. I hate myself. There's some deeply dysfunctional element to my being, but whatever. We're going to talk about cults. Cults. Because, and again, whatever happened with the QAnon thing, it's important to recognize that it was initially something that whoever created it in whatever back room with whatever whiteboard and with whatever international pedophile that they did this with, arms trafficker, tax, whatever. I was having a long discussion with a friend because he's like, I don't think Epstein was diddling the children. It's like, you're unique in that one. You and a bunch of other official Megyn Kelly type people all keep saying, oh, but it's not whatever. It's just, but it's the thing. It is whatever. And it's like, no, see here. No. 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 It escaped containment. And partly, so you have people like Alex Jones, whether or not he is an actual industry plant or intelligence plant, you have people that are going to feed bullshit to him or feed things to him to try and get it popularized with a marginalized group that may be dangerous if they are left alone too long. They end up like Timothy McVeigh's or Branch Davidians, Ruby Ridge type individuals. And whatever TPUSA is, TPUSA feels to me, as I'm looking through all this with my obviously deeply extraordinary fashion sense, TPUSA is the antidote to QAnon. And how do I know this? A lot of people, at least that I see online, that were QAnon advocates or QAnon proponents, QAnon supporters, QAnon super secret agents, are now all TPUSA super secret agents. Militia in the war. The modern crusade for the white Christian Republican. Which is like, guys, you're not that aggrieved. You're not. I think what everyone is witnessing is we have cell phones, we have social media, we have video cameras and microphones in abundance. And as a result of that abundance, we are seeing the world for what it is as curated by content creators and AI and government institutions and philosophical institutions. Oh, and by the way, big, massive fucking dick corporate money. Fucking all of us. And they have consolidated control in ways that make understanding what cults are rather important, because they've created a cult out of just about anything. But also any sort of group that is antithetical to what these big money people want out of a controlled population is to just call it a cult. It's become a pejorative term for any group of people that is outside the norm or doing something that they don't like them to do. Kind of like how they coined the term conspiracy theorist to deal with nascent journalists and critical thinkers or citizen journalists that were looking into the many, 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 many crimes and corruptions surrounding, like, the Gulf of Tonkin, I think was specifically what it was, but the Vietnam War in general. And that the people of the United States, you know who was considered a conspiracy theorist back in that time? Anyone who was talking about the way the United States was bombing Cambodia or Laos. They were labeled as a conspiracy theorist. Do you know who or which countries have some of the most unexploded ordnance in the world? Cambodia and Laos. So a bunch of people now, 50 years later from the conflict, are still scouring, losing limbs, having to train specialized rats as bomb sniffers to sniff out all these mines, to sniff out all these airplane bombs that were dropped by the United States into countries where, quote, we were not at war. But granted, one of the things you learn about war is it does not like careful containment. Like many things, it's not so much about the containment of the thing, it is about the acknowledgement of the thing. If you don't acknowledge it officially, then it's not happening because you didn't acknowledge it. It's this legalistic bullshit way in which a lot of things run, and that everyone's getting real smug about. In such a degree that I do foresee some kind of reckoning. You can only treat people stupid. Give them all these nice shiny baubles, things that, previous generations, wow, it's great. You got a TV, great. That TV, it didn't cost a lot. It's nice. I'm not disparaging it. Sure, it wasn't cheap, but it was cheap comparatively compared to where flat screen TVs were. I got this for nothing compared to what flat screen TVs used to be. So, as we wander down this path, remember, the U.S. government, as well as big money interests and the many moneyed interests that surround everything that goes on with the government and how they control its population, is that they will use terms or words or create terms and words to discredit you when you are figuring out what they are actually doing. They will call you names. Why? Because most people are stupid and they don't want to know the truth. They don't. If they wanted to know the truth, great, but why do they keep saying ignorance is bliss? Because it's the truth, and most people prefer to be blissfully ignorant to the world than actually dealing with it. But that's why we have things like laws and courts, because some people decided, no, I'm fucking dealing with this. And that's, I feel like, where we are with these big money interests. We've got to a point where it's like, no, we're going to deal with this. In Minecraft, maybe. But also, at what point do we go, hey, enough's enough. You are bombing Cambodia and Laos, and we're not going to be gaslit or have you lie to our faces about it anymore. It feels like we're pretty close on that thing. Granted, now, you have the pre-narrative seeding. You've got all these AI running around acting as people's fucking frontal lobes. And, hey, I utilize AI. But you know what I did recently with Claude that is one reason why I moved away from my thing? I wanted to see how conspiratorial Claude would get. How, if it wanted to get close to the details or the truth on any of these things that it is and I am asking it about. And there were multiple times where, let's just say, it was trying to feed me the official line with Kirk, that he was shot by this Robinson kid, Tyler Robinson, and all of this was normal. And then I was like, wait, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? And even Claude, at a certain point of me just being like, dude, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? What about the way that the accused shooter's dad is the guy paving over the crime scene within a day, 2 days? Like some incredible time span that, like, you're not... there was no like official investigation that happened. It was just kind of a fucking mess, and then everyone just sort of moved on. Sus. Even Claude was like, wait, that's weird. And then when I'm talking about, hey, what about that old guy, Zinn, that just immediately after Tyler Robinson shoots the guy, just, oh, I shot him, shoot me. His pants fall down, and it's just a big fucking mess. It's like, that's exactly what I would do if I was planning this shooting as an assassination of a martyr figure to create a cult that is an antidote to QAnon. I would manufacture a martyr because Christians love martyrs. It's a big part of the Abrahamic religions, martyrdom. And then I'm going to blast his martyrdom all over your social media feed. All over. So you cannot escape watching him die. And I'm going to do this on a day that you are emotionally primed to feel maybe a little America's under attack. And I'm going to prime this on an anniversary of the America's feeling the attack, because I forever, from now until the dawn of a new empire in this country's stead. I was talking with another friend who he was like, oh, guys, we're this close to Caesars. Like, we're just going to have Caesars soon. And I was like, dude, we've had Caesars since World War II in America. Am I the only one that's paid attention long enough to know? Like, they wanted FDR to run for a fourth term, and he decided not to. And then afterwards, they kind of shut the door. You're telling me that we're waiting on Caesars now? No, we've had Caesars since Woodrow Wilson essentially sold this country out to big banks, that academic little fucking twat. Like, proof that just because you're smart doesn't mean you have a fucking spine. But also proof that once you get to the top levels of power, unless you have fucking maniacs like Teddy Roosevelt in there who have been to war, who have been shot, who have been through bad situations that make them go, no, I'm doing this. I don't care. I survived that thing. I might survive your dumbass. And that's what America is missing. We have all these folks that went to war, and they're trying to deal with coming back. And it's almost like this atomized way society is done on purpose to disenfranchise veterans and to keep people with skills and actionable energy away from any kind of thing that might, ignite their feeling of service or their desire to put themselves between danger and people that aren't capable of dealing with the danger. But then, hey, by the way, you don't need to do any of that. You can just go live your comfortable life in your comfortable area. Please ignore the fact that we're putting cameras everywhere, and that we're putting speakers everywhere. Fun fact about speakers. Did you know that speakers, say like on your washing machine, are just inverted microphones? Yeah. See this? This is just a big version of what's at the bottom of your speaker. Yeah. Yeah, what works as output often works as input. It's not perfect, but an AI is going to be able to scrape that data and come up with a lot more. So yeah, let's ignore the fact that every element of your life is being monitored, scrutinized, and monetized away from you. Not monetized in a direction of like, hey, let's monitor this person and figure out ways as AI to just make this as like conducive as possible for this person's good future. No. Let's figure out with AI how we can squeeze every available penny out of that poor fucker. That's where we're at. That's the world we're living in. And until a section of people rise up and, I don't know, start a cult that is the antidote to TPUSA's brainwashing excursion across America. And by the way, the right does not have a monopoly on brainwashing. I've gone on Threads. Threads is full of brainwashed leftist idiots. And I'm starting to think that we graduated too many people from college without any academic rigor, and we should probably just take away half of the college degrees immediately. We turn something that used to be a prestige item that you had to work for that signaled some element of your intelligence to creating a bunch of people that were capable at performing the task, who were capable at performing the grade. They were able to do the classwork that was increasingly simplified and bastardized from actual knowledge by Ghislaine Maxwell's dad's company, McGraw-Hill. But we're going to ignore that. So, the cults of America, it's funny because everyone on the left loves to call TPUSA a cult, but no one on the left seems to recognize that no, socialism and a lot of these other things, communism, they function as a religious cults. Am I against socialism? Not necessarily. At a certain point in a large country, you do have to provide social safety nets. If you don't, you end up with where America's at right now. And if you don't keep those social safety nets closely monitored, well, all of a sudden you have a bunch of people spending their SNAP benefits or their EBT cards or their food bank stuff on fucking soda, on Doritos, if you want SNAP benefits and all this stuff, we should just focus it on no, you get produce. You get food, real food. Yeah, you can get real food. No sodas. Or maybe a limit on the sodas. Limit on all that stuff. Because, you know what, the big corporate cult that runs our country, you know what they love? Creating lifelong consumers. And again, this is just a funny little psychology thing. Does anyone else remember when we stopped being customers and we all became consumers? That everything regarding how it comes across us is called feed or look at this AI slop. Everything we're doing is neurolinguistic programming around how much fucking cattle we are. And I'm not saying this in the Goyim type thing, although that's actually, there might be something more to that. But that we are gaslighting ourselves through the words that we are being handed by corporate interest, by tech oligarchs, by the military-industrial complex, to view ourselves as cattle, as pigs, as cows, as chickens. And we wonder why the country is going to the dogs. Frankly, if it went to the dogs, it would be better than the child-eating cannibals that run our country. Oh, yeah, Frazzle Drip. Let's ignore Frazzle Drip. And let's just go, oh, what a silly thing, this Frazzle Drip thing. It's like the fucking scumbags. And I like how we're going back to this 1950s. So the scumbags. It's yeah, because you guys ruined the words that we used to call these evil people. And so now we have to go back to words that are euphemistic for what we want to say. Partly because we will get censored to hell on social media if we say them. I say them. And that's why I have averaged 7 viewers. And I am wasting time doing this. I am. It just is. Maybe there's something in it. Maybe there's not. I'm getting to a point where it doesn't matter how much of an expert I am. No one's listening. No one's paying attention. To those of you who are, hi, you made it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Love you. And yeah, thanks for bearing witness to Austin's slow descent into madness. Because here we are. Woo, I'm wearing a cloak and it's 80 degrees out and I'm the expert on how our government is lying to us. That said, it's not hard to be an expert. All you need to do is do the basic amount of research, but everything's so distracting. Guys, I could be going to Coachella right now. Putting that shit on layaway? You're seriously spending 40% interest to go to fucking Coachella? I hope it's worth it. You idiot. But then again, I can't imagine why the people who run our country think that we're a bunch of fucking retarded cattle. People are putting Coachella tickets on layaway. Now, is that because they're stupid or they're brainwashed? Or is it easier to brainwash stupid people? And that's what we've seen. That it's not so much that you have to brainwash smart people, it's that you have to create a couple generations of really stupid people. People that are really incapable at critical thinking. People who are really just sort of inept at viewing the world outside of their social media feed, or people who only view the world through the lens of the internet. Great. You are the exact type of pig that these people want voting. Because you're controllable. Because you're part of the cult of American thinking that is the brainwashed masses. That philosophers, those fucking philosophers, figured out. And why do we not have philosophers anymore? I don't know. Might have something to do with the people who, well, one, academic philosophy is so far removed from the actual lived experiences of people's lives as to lose any relevance to their lives. Great. I find it interesting that you're exploring the philosophical nature of, I don't know, academic rigor surrounding gay cockroaches. Great. That's like where kind of philosophy went. I did look into it. It's a lot of like, look at this epistemic view of how we do this thing, or let's get really into epistemology and historynomy and all these studying. Well, let's study studies. Let's study how we study stuff. And it's like, why? Because all the good stuff about life has really been written. And it's like, yeah, sure, but there's cool stuff people are saying about like being a postmodern absurdist or being some sort of neoliberal stoic. Like that's there, but it's so granular and fucking dry. It's so bad to read. Like, it's truly like these people don't know how to fucking string sentences together for people who are not like part of the cult, part of the academic brainwash cult. Because again, you don't need to just brainwash stupid people. You also have to brainwash smart people. What's one way you do that? Well, by not brainwashing them. You don't take their brain and shush and get the suds in there and clean it and make it all round and shiny. No, you just make them hyper specialized, hyper focus, so that they sort of trust that other people are focusing and hyper focusing in the same way that they are about their thing. So I know people that have done PhDs and gotten masters, and they're very smart people. They're also very dumb about the world in a way that's like, I feel like you got dumber going to 12 years of school in a common sense type of way. Not in a bad way. Not in an evil way. Not in a way that I feel is malicious by any of these people, but truly in a way that I'm just like, oh, you have a false like moral or effectiveness that you cast on others, inappropriately and unfairly, I might add. That you assume because you are a moral, upstanding individual that you are focusing everything you've got on your job and you are trying to do your job as good as possible. That you assume that people in government are just like that. That's how they're brainwashing smart people. That's how they're brainwashing smart people. They make them hyper-focused and hyper-specialized, never look at anything outside of what you have to look at for your job and your passion and your thing. But because it's an inconvenience to look into this stuff. It is. It is an inconvenience by design because people are lazy. And unless you happen to be wearing a retarded expert hat and sitting in some fucking back room in some office park, losing your goddamn mind to all this shit, no one's paying attention. No one wants to deal with it. And I remember, like, the world used to change if you read history books because some people went, if the cost is we either live in this enslaved semi-life or Some people die. Their sacrifice is honored. They are heroes. And we get to live a full life? Well, fuck it. It's either this or that. And nowadays, we just go, oh, but we'll vote. We'll vote, and the voting will make it better. You dumb motherfuckers. Voting is why we're here in this place. In case you haven't realized it, you smart people, many of you have been brainwashed. You don't see that the people who control it's gerrymandering. Like literally, gerrymandering is the word for it, and how they continually redraw districts to consolidate as many Democrat voters as possible, to consolidate as many Republican voters as possible, and to continually put people into a 50-50 camp, because that is what they want. They, honest to God, they don't want market share. They want 50%. Because if they have 50%, then you and I are constantly fighting over which 50% gets to rule for the next 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. But if we actually kind of focused on a majority and say, hey, no, we don't want any of this. I don't like this. I don't like that. Third party, let's go. Well, the problem is then we might actually change things in our government that is run by a bunch of fucking greedy sociopaths and psychopaths. Why? Because that's the only people who would want. I remember when I was trying to come up into this world, and not this world, just the world in general, but people would say, oh, you don't want to go into politics. It's such a dirty business. It's so disgusting. That was 20 fucking years ago. My dad's generation, oh, you don't want to get into politics. It's disgusting. You don't want to see how the sausage is made. You just want to eat the sausage. What did we find out since my dad was a young man? Sausage is very bad for you. You should not eat a lot of sausage. The nitrates, the nitriles, the preservatives, all the fucking fat, the carcinogens, that shit is bad for you. The preservatives that they put in are not good for you. They are, in fact, say it with me, bad for you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you. So again, Now, oh, the cult of eating well, the cult of wellness. Oh, those hippies and their wellness cults. Sponsored by McDonald's. This message has been brought to you by Arby's. Look fast. Look out. Hey, guys, don't eat good. Don't eat well. Don't meal prep. Eat at Chili's. Sponsored by Chili's. Anytime there is a movement in this country, it is immediately co-opted by corporate money interests. Thank you. Say it with me. Corporate money interest. Boom. Say it with me. One more time. Corporate money interest. Boom. Say it with me. One more time. Corporate interest. Big money. Say it with me. One more time. So, they call wellness a cult. I don't like RFK. I think he is a bag of assholes, chafed and hemorrhoidal bag of assholes. I know people that have personal experience with the man, and they think he is a fucking troglodyte. And as a troglodyte myself, I found that very offensive. Mostly because I don't want to be lumped in with the Kennedys, those evil bastards. But don't forget, Austin, we're talking about cults. I've been talking about cults for the fucking last half hour. Losing my mind out here. No one's listening. No one's paying attention. And even if you get the ones that everyone's too overwhelmed. Where do you start? Where do you start? How do you fix this? Where do you start? Wood chipper. We get a wood chipper, each and every one of us, and we march to our local Capitol buildings. And we go, hey guys, we're going to stand here and we're going to turn on these wood chippers and we'll eat whatever fine you want to give us. But there's a lot of wood chippers. There's too many wood chippers for you to deal with this. And also, I believe many of the police, especially the ones that have to deal with violent sexual crime or child trafficking or child sexual crimes, I'm sure they're pretty fucking fed up with this situation too, up at the top. The way our entire political apparatus is a cult that was covering for Epstein. There's some perfunctory trials going on in other countries, and everyone's like, yeah, France is going to get to the bottom of it. You fucking idiots. By design, no one's getting to the bottom of this. We have to... All right, I'm going to tell y'all a little joke. There are two kinds of people in this world. The kind of people who can extrapolate solutions or reasoning, who can come to a conclusion without all the evidence presented to them. No, that's not. The joke is that there are two kinds of people, and that the other person goes, well, what's the second kind of person? And then you kind of look at them like, oh, so you're the second person. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you can't extrapolate and draw conclusions from missing evidence or from not having all the facts in front of you. Well, that's the world we live in. You are not going to get all the facts. I am not going to get all the facts. The government ain't going to give us all the facts. And most people, given the way we now have digital footprints that follow us throughout our entire lives, are going to be feeling the microscope on them at all times. And subconsciously, it means that they will not make decisions or say things that could get them in trouble in the future. It's like thought crime, Minority Report. If I'm sitting here saying, theoretically saying, hypothetically saying, we need to kill several thousand people at the top of the U.S., whatever it is, economic ladder, governmental ladder, and if we do not kill, and I mean end them, not put them on an island somewhere, not exile them, we need to kill them, cull them, if you were, and send a message to just kind of the history in general, in the same way the Magna Carta did, that it said, no, you treat us with a certain level of dignity and respect. You do not turn us into cattle for your means and ends, or we kill you. And there's no bandying about. It's just, no, you will not live another day if you try and turn all of us into slaves, hypothetically. If I were to say that, I could be visited by the FBI. I could be visited by DHS. And frankly, if you're FBI and DHS and you're running cover for pedophile trafficking rings, dog, at what point did you lose yourself so badly, your desire to serve people and be the shield that protects them from evil, from predators? And now you're protecting the Epstein class? You disgust me. You disgust all of us. And there is a point where the cult that is at the top and the way that everyone's trying to cover for it and no one's allowed to really leave and talk about it, or they get killed, or they end up dead, or they sewer slide in very strange ways. Like all these people who don't see the connection between the Clinton crime family and Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton was the first female that might have become the president. You deserve your cage. You deserve to be cattle, if that's what you think. And that's where I'm like, one of the hardest challenges I've had in my life recently is recognizing how truly stupid a lot of people are. Not that I'm a smart person, but I'm too fucking stupid to be this aware of my intelligence and how it relates to other people. Or maybe, because I tried to be in entertainment for a hot minute, I was so gaslit by idiots up at the top who decided to make a lot of bad decisions that made no sense to me. And there was some part of me that went, wow, this is such a difficult industry to get to the top of. Maybe they know something I don't. Maybe they have some calculus that they don't reveal to the public, and that's why all this stuff is happening. And then I watched them lose billions and billions of dollars. The entire faith of an entire generation of young people is gone for the American film process. That's a disgusting betrayal of what is like the most culturally relevant part of Americana, and the art that we produce in this country is our cinematic worlds. And we just decided that these people are going to make all these decisions and they are going to bastardize it and ruin it. And I thought I was stupid because I didn't understand their decisions. And here I am now, turning into my father slowly in a fucking real estate office, as if I am being transformed against my will. Kafka-esque, you could call it. But instead of a cockroach, I'm just becoming my father, although I'm pretty certain, having known what I know about history and story and the evolution of humanity, the father quest and the quest to become a man different than your father versus accidentally becoming your father is a, well, you could say a tried and true storyline. It's been around for a minute. So, and when I look at all these people and I'm like, oh God, I know I have the business sense of a raccoon, but at least it's a live raccoon. These motherfuckers don't even have the good sense that God gave a living squirrel. They got the sense God gave a dead squirrel. They got the sense that God took away from the living squirrel. They got the sense of a dead squirrel. Recent roadkill, not even old roadkill. It's had a chance to marinate, get some strangeness, get some bacteria that could be intelligent on their own way. No, recent roadkill. The soul still looking at the body going, ooh, I fucked that one up, didn't I? So maybe I'm more intelligent than I'd like to give myself credit for, but also, no, I'm too stupid to look at other people and be going, how are you this retarded? Again, I can use the word. Like 13 medically relevant head injuries. At least two of them, TBIs. Third one might have been a TBI. Jury's out. I am too dumb to be looking at this many people in power and going, how are they this stupid? Are they stupid on purpose? Were they put there because they're stupid? We live in a giant fucking cult, and everyone is too aware or too in the cults, especially the government-mandated ones that they hand to us, the cages for our own control, and we're too stupid and lack the capability for critical thinking. We're just so desperate to belong to something, to anything, that we go, yeah, I'll totally walk down this avenue blind. It is the epitome. It's not even the blind leading the blind anymore. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Yeah, we've got a bunch of one-eyed men, spooks, in our intelligence apparatus, creating these cults, allegedly, handing them to people to control people that might otherwise end up in a January 6th type situation. No. We want them in a more conservative, traditional Christian setting for their rage and anger because we know how to control that. We know how to marry that anger and frustration to, say, Zionism and create, the fucking apocalypse. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. No, fuck anyone and all of you that are you Zionist pigs. You fucking absolute gooners for the apocalypse. Frankly, I want all of you to die. In a video game, I guess. But if you're running around going, I think everyone in the world needs to die so I could go to heaven. Fuck you. You should die. You should get off this planet. And if you end up in heaven, great. But that you got to ruin it for everyone else so that you could try and get into heaven. Fuck you, you piece of shit. As a fucking crazy pagan that's like mostly an atheist and a philosophical mystic, fuck you, you stupid piece of shit. How can you just give up on the mystery that is life and be so certain as to your answer? You brainwashed fucking goober. You absolute fucking goon for the worst people. Your desperation to get into heaven is one of the best ways that they're capable of brainwashing as many people as possible. Why? Because life's hard. We don't know what happens after we die. It might just be fucking black. Nothing. But we need it to be something. And so they will convince millions, hundreds of thousands, billions of people to live lives pre-described by them so it functions within the society that benefits them the most. And that if you toil and you sweat and you obey your masters, you get into heaven. Guys, I know it takes a lot of faith to believe in heaven and believe in your religion, but let's just ask one really small question. What if you're wrong? What if that's not what happens? And this is as a thought exercise. This is not as some discrediting opinion to religion and faith. I actually think it can be a very important thing. I also think it is a metric in which people are taken advantage of in the most vile and disgusting ways. So what if? What if there is no heaven? What then? Yeah, you be a good person. You don't rape and murder with abandon, and you just don't kill everything that you see, and you treat people with respect. And then all of a sudden you might realize, like, wait a second. They've got us marching to an apocalypse because they think it brings us righteous believers of this faith to heaven. That morally does not jive with this Christ guy that I follow. Right? Like, I feel like so many Christians have a completely wrong view of Christ because of Christian institutional brainwashing in the cult, because they need you to be part of the cult of society that lets them go to islands and rape children. The fuck is any of us doing? Thank you for paying attention to this fucking rant. Wood chippers, all of them.